Hey, what's up? My name's Sai. Been on work comp for a little while and been going through lots of different medical experiences and stuff. And I've never been through this before, so figure might as well share my story and share the experiences that I'm going through with you guys. First off, came around yesterday. I went down to Petaluma to go for an EMG test. EMG test is an electromagnetic something test, and anyways, they use like electric pulses to test your muscle and nerve reflexes. So it's not that fun. Um, so the first off, it comes around and nurse comes in, asks me a few questions and all that, and then she goes and she sticks a neutral wire right here on the back of my hand, and then she takes the positive one and the negative one, wraps it around each finger, and one by one each finger, and then goes through with this thing that looks like a remote with like an electrode like taser on the end of it, and sticks it onto the side of your arm and shocks you. And I'm not really sure exactly that I was reading the screen right, but I'm pretty sure that they went from like 6 to somewhere around like 18 volts when they were shocking me. Um, so it was essentially like taking each one of your fingers one by one and shocking yourself in like a light socket over and over. And it wasn't really the same amount. I don't know what made it so some fingers got it more than other ones or what. And it also definitely wasn't the same voltage for every finger going through. So I'm not really sure how all that was happening. And I asked about it and I got a very vague answer. So I'm really not really sure on that. But yeah, it was pretty much like sticking all 10 fingers one by one into an electrical socket. And it just felt like,
Is your illusion.
so then came, as I'm sitting there after that, I thought that that was probably the test. Kind of makes sense that that was probably the test. Well, then I'm sitting there, and she said that the doctor would come in and come and talk to me. And as I look over, then I see that there's a needle sitting next to me, and it's got my name on it, and it's the big one. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look very fun. And when I looked it up online, then I had heard something about a needle test, and a couple friends had made some comments about something with a needle test. Well, I didn't know that I was in for a swarm of bees. So, what I mean by that is, doctor comes in, starts chatting with me, asks a few questions and stuff, and then he comes around and, you afraid of needles? I said, no, no. I used to donate plasma quite a bit, actually, and I got quite used to it at that time. So they don't bother me too bad. And I said, oh, okay, right on. So then he, all right, here we go. Pulls out the needle and boop, poke me right here in the eye. I'm like, oh, okay, and then as I'm watching the screen, then you could see that when things were in good condition, then it made a rhythm that was within sync with itself, make continuous rhythm. And then when he'd pull it out and stick it into a different area and stick it over, stick it over, stick it here, stick it there, stick it here, stick it there, and made me feel like a voodoo doll, like pin doll. And so when things were out of place, like say like when he picked over in here, then you could see that the rhythms on the screen they went really out of key, and the sounds were very off. Also, it sounded like an ultrasound. Um, so I was kind of thinking maybe it was like a needle that's kind of like a microphone type thing. I'm not really sure, but pretty interesting experience. Was not fun. Definitely hurt. Sometimes he'd stick the needle in and then wouldn't be getting really the right reading, so he'd move it around and oh, that kind of hurt. But then also, after he'd stick it in and stick it in a few times, like different places, and move it around and stuff, and then I noticed that sometimes where it hit, or after getting like 10 shots in the arm, my head tense up a little bit. I noticed on the screen, the graph, the waves would get a lot smaller, so he wasn't getting readings when that would happen. So he grabbed my arm, and it wasn't a light doctor, that's for sure. He grabbed my arm and shake it and stuff, and like, loosen up, loosen up, loosen up, and stuff, and continue to mess with the needle, and man, ow. So yeah. Anyways, I if you need to get one, then you need to get one. I wouldn't really recommend one, but that is my experience of getting an EMG, and we'll see how the results come out. Doctor said we definitely got some stuff to review in my neck and in my shoulder, so we'll go from there.